and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Louise Nichols, I'm a textile artist and I live in Cornwall. Our internet is back, hooray! It was over a week from when they put the telegraph pole in to when they finally thread the wires through. But anyway, at least it's back. It was so frustrating it being off. I know, there are all sorts of things going off in the world, aren't there, at the moment? But it was incredibly frustrating. And it actually became more frustrating trying to get somebody to find out what was going on and to get somebody to come and do something about it than actually not having the internet itself. But anyway, I'm not going to talk any more about that. Apart from, I must tell you, when I started filming part of the videos that you're going to see next, we had a power cut. So I had to stop filming. So it does stop a little bit abruptly on one of the videos. But that's because the power went off. Luckily it came back on, I don't know, it's probably off for about an hour, so not too bad. But not having the internet, it does make you realise, doesn't it, just how much we rely on it now, how much we use it, and what a big part of our lives it's become. Anyway, at least it's back. So part 2 of designing a kit from scratch. So in the previous video, which was what, 6 months ago or so now, I was designing the landscape, and then this one is showing you transferring that design onto the lino and carving the lino out. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. So here's the finished design for the landscape print that I'm going to do, which is going to be a new kit, and I've traced this through onto tracing paper using a 2B pencil. So I always use a nice soft pencil. It seems to transfer back onto the lino more easily than if you use a harder pencil. So that's all traced through, and all I've done, I've added a little line in there, and also these shapes in the trees here. They were in the original, and I really like them, so I wanted them to be in this design as well. So once I've got to that stage, I then turn the tracing over, and I'm going to trace it onto this piece of lino here. This is a soft cut lino that I use, and I usually give myself a little bit of a border. I'm going to trim this down here anyway once I've traced it on. So I want that sort of fairly square on there, like that, and then I've got a bit of tape just to stick it down onto the lino so it won't move while I'm drawing over the top of it. Pop that bit down there. So now I am going to use an HB pencil now, so a harder pencil, and I'm going to press on really, really hard and to transfer the image through onto the lino. So I'm going to start off, going to use my ruler. I'm going to start off drawing the border, the edge. If you want to, you can just lift the corner, make sure that's coming through okay. I can see that it is, so that's fine. And then I might draw the rest of the straight lines in actually once I've started, once I've drawn the main shapes in. So I'm pressing down really hard now over the top of that drawing so that all the lines transfer through. It won't be as long in between this video and the next one because I'm aiming to have this done as a new kit and to launch it at Craft for Crafters in Exeter, which is at the end of March. So that's what I'm aiming for. So I need to crack on with it now, don't I? In fact, talking of fairs, my first fair for this year is a new one for me and quite a long way for me to go. It's the Textiles East Fair, which is in St Ives in Cambridge, not in Cornwall. Don't come to Cornwall for it. And that is in February. It's Saturday the 15th and Sunday the 16th of February. It's open from 10:30 till 4 o'clock every day, and it's at the Burgess Hall in St Ives in Cambridge. So really looking forward to that one. So if you live near there and you want to come and say hello, then please do. It'd be really nice to see you and to meet you. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with this and then we'll come back in when I've drawn it all through. So that's all drawn through now. So I'm going to take the tracing paper off. Now, I don't know how well you'll be able to see the design. I can see it reasonably well. But with the light shining down, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see that or not. If I do that, maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit. It's always tricky transferring it through because obviously pencil, it's grey on grey, isn't it? Grey pencil, grey lino. But I'm going to draw over the top of it now with a black pen so that I can see exactly what I've got before I start carving out. So I use a permanent pen, it's a fine one, and I'm going to draw over the top of all the lines so that I can see exactly what I've got before I start carving out. So again, I'll use my ruler to draw the outside edge. Just so I can see where the line at the edge is really. And then I'm going to start drawing in the rest of it now. Okay, so that's all the black pen on now, so I've drawn over everything. Again, I'm sorry because there is a little bit of reflection, isn't there, on the lino. So what I'm going to go and do now is I'm going to just trim this extra lino off here before I start carving. Okay, so if I tip the lino, look, like this, you can see the black lines now, can't you? Because it is a little bit shiny from the light that's overhead. I'm just going to lock the screen now. There we go. Okay, so I'm ready to start carving now. So let me show you what I use. So this is a bench hook board. Let me see if I can. So it's got a little bit on this edge here, and it hooks over your table, which you can't see because it's out of shot. But it hooks over your table, and then the idea is that you can use this to hold your lino, and as you're turning it, it holds it in place. Now that is what I would usually use, particularly on smaller pieces. But for this one, I'm not going to use this. I think with filming it, it would be a little bit restrictive. And usually when I'm carving, I stand up at my table in the workroom and when I'm using this, and so it just makes it a little bit easier, whereas when I'm sat down I think it would be a bit more awkward. So what I am going to use, which some people find easier anyway because they do take a bit of getting used to, these blocks, put that down, is a bit of this grippy mat here. So this I bought from Poundland on a roll a few years ago now, and I've got quite a few pieces out of it. I use them, or some ladies use them in workshops. So it's one of those grippy non-slip mats. So I'm going to use that just so that my lino isn't going to slip anywhere while I'm carving out. So now let me talk to you. I'm just going to sit down now, and I'll just talk to you about the tools that I use. So you can spend a lot of money on lino cutting tools and buy the really expensive ones, which I'm sure are absolutely beautiful to use. I don't have those. I have this set. This is by a company called A Big, and you get your handle, you get 5 blades, and then you get this little stick, and this is how you change the blade. So I sort of hold it against me like that, and then you pop the blade out and then pop a new one in. And I buy these from handprinted.co.uk. We'll put a link at the bottom. And my lino, sometimes I buy from them, but quite often it's from a place called QD Supplies. It comes in all sorts of sizes. The largest is an A3 sheet, and I'll cut it down to size depending on what size design I'm doing. All the blades are numbered 1 to 5. There are a couple of the blades I don't use. I don't use this flat one here, and I don't tend to use the very wide, not that one there, it's that one there, the very wide U shape. No, it's not that one actually. I've got 2 number 3s here just to confuse you. Hang on. This is the very wide. It's the number 4. I don't tend to use this one either. So I tend to use 1, 2 and 3. So number 1 is this one here, and it's a V-shaped blade. So I use this one for getting into really tight corners and to give me a nice tip. I'll show you when I'm carving these out here, these kind of little stem things. I'll show you because I'll be using this one. I don't take out any amount of lino with this. It's purely for really sort of adding detail. So I'll use it when I do these little shapes in the trees as well. And then 2 and 3 are both U-shaped blades, One's smaller than the other. Number 2 is smaller than number 3. So I start off with number 2, and I'll go around the outside of I'll do all the outline of what I've drawn out with number 2, and then I change over to number 3, and I'll use my 3 to take out larger areas. Now, let me just go back to my tracing. I can take this tape off now. Now, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do with this. I think I know which bits I'm going to take out and which bits I'm going to leave in. But what you can do on your tracing is, if you're not sure, if you're confused at all by which bits to take out, which bits to leave in, you can sort of shade it in like this. So I want to take out the sky, and I want to leave in the bird and that tree there, like that. And then around here, to separate the tree from the hill that goes behind it, I want to take this section out as well. And then I'm going to leave that stripe in there, but this one I'm going to take out. And the stripes here, I'm going to leave this one in, take this one out, leave this one in, and take this one out here. I'm going to take out the stem shapes here and the little circles above them. And I think I'm going to just do an outline around that bird. I don't think I want to take the bird out, but I will take out the wing shape, and I'll take the wing shape out of this one as well. This is just going to be a line that I carve in. I'm going to leave all of that hill there in, and the same here. I'm going to just do a line across there, and I am going to take out the leaves. I couldn't decide whether to do this as a positive or a negative tree, but I've decided to do it as a positive, which means that then I'll use the blade just to take out that sort of line running up the trunk. So these will be a little bit wider, like that. So I may not actually need this line around here, I don't know. Which means that might come in a little bit further. Yeah, so I may not carve those out to begin with. I'm going to see how that looks. Nothing's set in stone, is it? It doesn't really matter if you adjust it as you're going along. Oh, and this bit, I'm going to take this out as well. So I can refer to that now, and I can see which bits I want to take out. Now, if you've not done any carving before, I always recommend that you start on sort of larger areas. If it was a workshop, I'll give you a little piece of lino to practice on and to try the blades out on, just so that you can get used to holding the tool. The more you use it, the easier it gets. But I would recommend starting on a larger area. If you've got a nice run of an edge that you can do, then that's what I would do. So using my number 2 blade, I'm going to start carving now. So I'm just going to start on the edge of this hill here. So, and I'm holding it in the palm of my hand. And try and remember to keep your hand behind the blade. What you don't want is your hand here while you're carving, because if you do slip, and it's easy to slip, you'll end up taking a nice chunk out of your finger. Now you can see I did that in one go. If you're again, if you've not done it before, you can stop. So if you sort of, if you sort of get to there and think, oh gosh, what am I doing? You can just take your tool out, take a breath, and then go back to it and carry on. So I'm going to do the outline on all of this, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so you should be able to see now that I've done all of the outline. I have decided to take this line in here. When I wasn't sure whether this was going to be positive or negative, if I'd taken out the tree, I would have needed this line around here to separate it from the sky, which I'm also taking out. But now I've decided to leave it in. I don't need this line, so that's why I'm not using it. And so I've taken this outside edge right into here now, because again I don't need these two lines here either. And then here as well, I've given myself quite a wide border around the trees, but actually I think I'm going to leave it as it is, so I'm not going to go to the edge of those lines there either. And then the other thing I was just going to show you was taking out these dots here. So I'm going to change from my blade 2 to number 3. No, that's not it, is it? Oh, it is, yeah, hang on. And then the way I take a dot out is I'll wedge my blade in. In fact, it's probably not very easy with the non-slip mat under, because you need to be able to turn your lino. Wedge my blade in and then just give it a turn and you get a pretty decent dot. Like that. Okay, that will do. Right, I'm going to bring my mat back in. And I've decided I'm going to take the bird out as well, the one that sits in there, because I think that would be quite a nice contrast between the solid lino being left in and the bird being removed. So I'll start with that now. So with my slightly wider blade, I'm just now going to start taking bits of the lino away. In fact, I think that's why there were 2 number 3s in this. I've got a couple of blades that weren't very sharp, and I think I'd put them in that pack to try them out, and that one wasn't particularly sharp. That one's better. I will take the beak out as well, but I think I'll do that with that finer blade. And the legs as well, I'll take those out. Now, the legs on this top bird here will end up being removed. I'm not going to try and leave those in, but that's what you'll add back in with stitch, or what I'll add back in with stitch. Okay, so I'm going to take this bit of stripe out as well here. By going around the outside with your size 2 blade, for me it just makes it clearer. I can see exactly what I've got, but then also it means that if you do slip, if I'm carving out this bit here and I end up kind of slipping a little bit, because you've got this ridge, it should help stop you going into a shape that you don't want to go into, so it sort of acts as a bit of a buffer. So that's another good reason for doing it. So I'm going to start taking out around the back of the hill now. I find carving lino really therapeutic. It's a really nice feeling. Just removing those bits of lino. And if your blade's nice and sharp as well, it should be fairly smooth. Sometimes when I'm doing sky as well, it's nice to bring another sort of flow in. So it may be that, let me get my pen, it may be that I want to sort of have that sort of shape going off in the background. So then what I will do with that is carve that line in there and here, and then as I'm carving this out, going into here, look, I can just sort of bring it up so it's sort of following that sort of flow. And again here can begin to bring some lines in following that shape that I've just drawn in there. You see there, but I'm going to draw another, just a little guide. So I want that to sort of come down to there. You will get, when you're carving out lino, when you come to print, you do see where you've carved. You see the shapes, the direction that you've carved in. You get this sort of noise in the background that's left, which I think is really nice with lino. So I do try and be mindful of the direction that I am carving in, because it will show on your finished print. So I'm going to leave the sky for a minute. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll kind of start making marks up there, but then come down here. So I'm going to take those two stripes out. So it was this one out, wasn't it? And this one as well. Ooh. Now you see there, see I did just slip there a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just make that line a little bit wider. So that'll hide that there. And then these need to come out as well. So I'm going to carry on taking all these little bits out with my number 3 blade, and then I will bring you back in. Okay, so that's, I'll probably work on this maybe a little bit more to make sure it's kind of taken back, but you get the idea from that. And you'll have noticed I drew an extra line in there. I just felt there was too many sort of single lines, there was too much of the solid lino left, so that's why I decided to take a little bit out there. And what else was I going to say? Oh yes, and then the border. So if I've got a solid edge on my lino, I like to give myself something to hold on to. So when I'm printing, I'm not going to have to put my thumb or finger right on the edge and make a mark in the printing ink. So it just gives me something to hold on to. Up here, where this is the edge of the sky, I'm going to take that out. So I'll go and cut that away with my Stanley knife because I don't want this to print, and I don't need, you know, the edge is here. I don't need this to be in. So I'll go and cut that away with the Stanley knife. So I'm going to change my blade now to the number 1, which I think is that one there. Yep. So this is the V-shaped blade, and I'm going to use that to do the beak of the bird. You see, you get a really nice point on that. In fact, I'm going to make that a little bit wider, like that. Where else was I going to use it? Oh yeah, just to sort of, again, get a nice point on these leaves here. And down here. That one's okay. The legs of the bird. You don't want them too shallow. There's still got to be a bit of depth, because if they're really shallow, when you come to put your ink over the top, they'll fill up straight away with ink if you're not careful. So you want a little bit of depth to them. And then I'm going to just take out this shape that I've drawn in the tree. And over on this side as well. Okay, I think that's about it. So I might just work away at these. I do like to leave some raised bits, because I do like the effect that they give when you're printing, but I don't want too many of them. So I'm quite selective about what I leave in and which ones I take out. Sometimes you don't know till you actually print it, so it can be a bit of a guessing game. But basically, that's it. I'm happy with that. So all I'll do now, as I say, is go and cut this top bit off here. And that is about it. We're ready to print. So that will be the next video. I'll be printing probably in a few different colours because I want this to be a seasonal. I want to do 4 different prints with this. So there'll be spring, summer, autumn and winter. And so that will be the next video. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.